to Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the podcast companion to the book Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the films of Shane Black, From Lethal Weapon to Play Dirty. I'm Jake Jabor, your host of the podcast and your author of the book. The book is off to the publisher for printing, so you can order it now. It's got a great cover by Ren Davis. I can't say enough cool things about this cover. It's better than the book, so you should just get it and put it in your home because it looks cool. And today, we're talking Iron Man 3. When is a bomb not a bomb? When is a superhero movie not a superhero movie? Possibly when it's written and directed by Shane Black. Today on the podcast is friend, improviser, LA comedian, Will Evans. And let's get into it. Welcome to Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the podcast companion to the book. Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals by me, Jake Jabor. I'm Jake Jabor. I'm hosting. We're talking Shane Black films with some of my friends, and today is no exception. We're going to dive into Iron Man 3 with Los Angeles comedian, improviser, student, friend, Will Evans. Hi, Will.
Hi, Jake. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this. Basically, this is my day.
Oh, okay, great.
As an unemployed person, it's like the big thing today.
Oh, great. I hope this is worth your day.
I believe so.
We'll see what we can get. We'll see if we can make an hour out of your day worth it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure.
So I reached out to people asking if they had a Shane Black movie they liked, and you came back with Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about when you first saw it.
Yeah.
Your experience going to see it.
Well, years ago, I was working at Paramount, which is where where these movies originally kind of originated from, the Iron Man movies, at least. It was all like divided between studios, and then Marvel was bought out. But this was like kind of like a last kind of co-production of Paramount. I was interning at Robert Evans' company.
Oh, okay.
Not related. I read his book, and like the first two chapters, they said like he hated his dad so much that he was like, I'm going to change my last name. I was like, oh, cool. So I don't need to read the rest of the book
now. Did you see which came first, the internship or reading the book?
The internship. I knew about him, but I didn't know it was interesting, we're in this era of like AI and everything, but he was a person that could do it all. He edited movies, like he knew exactly how the whole thing worked. So, for kind of the criticism that he received, as like a coke addict guy, I mean, he was a movie guy. He knew how to freaking do it. I met him a few times. He was very tough to talk to.
Whoa, met Robert Evans?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, Iron Man 3, they had a theater there, and I saw it at the theater, and I didn't quite get it. I was, I guess, like too young to really understand what Shane Black was doing with the with it. And then years later, I watched it again. I was like, oh, this is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film. Like, it's, in my opinion, the best one. Like, it's so deep. There's so much happening in it. But anyway, do you have any questions? I'll go back to Robert Evans, but like that's the.
Well, what happened between the first time you saw it and then when you revisited it that changed your relationship to it or what you saw in it?
I think the first time I saw it, I was expecting a very much like a superhero movie. And if you watch the movie and he's out of the suit for most of the movie, it's not really a movie about Iron Man. It's a movie about Tony Stark. And I guess I was just expecting more like action and more, just like, just more fun, just more like explosive fun. But now I watch it now and it's completely, I don't know. It's, your podcast is called, I believe, reversals,
Yes. Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. It's just reversing the whole genre for the whole movie. I mean, it's not as like witty as his other movies, but it is like completely a Shane Black movie in the Marvel formula, which I find very fascinating. When usually they kind of get compromised by the studio notes or whatever, but this seems kind of completely free. Just make sure it's PG-13. Like that seems to be one thing. Yeah.
So what was your relationship to Marvel movies before Iron Man 3 and your relationship to Shane Black? Like, were you a big Marvel movie, Iron Man movie? It's still pretty early in the cinematic universe.
Right.
Yeah.
I was pretty casual about it. Yeah, I was pretty early, so it didn't become the thing that it is now, where it just seems like it became its own ocean. It was kind of like a little lake back then.
Yeah.
But now it's so massive. I was like a fan. I liked the first Iron Man. I thought Avengers was pretty fun. It was like a big Hollywood movie. It was like the summer before this, when Avengers came out, that was so massive. It kind of was like, oh, this is, and they did it. They put all four superheroes on one. I remember that weekend and just being like, wow, this is going to take over the culture. With Shane Black, I think I actually at Pierce Community College, we watched Lethal Weapon as like an example of like buddy comedies, like like a film school thing. And I thought it was very interesting and kind of bizarre for like a buddy comedy movie. I guess it was because I was just like, oh, there's something unique about it. I didn't know what it was, and then I think like a year or so later, I rented Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And I really loved that. I loved that.
Okay. One. So he comes up, Shane Black comes up, or I should say in this podcast, it's come up that people have like had exposure to him, usually through an academic setting, a college or something like that. And it seems to swing both ways, that sometimes people show his films to say like, yeah, this is an example of a buddy comedy or a buddy action movie. And sometimes they use his scripts to say, like, don't write scripts this way. Yeah. It's a little too clever, and it's having conversations with the audience. Did you you watched it as an example? This was a screenwriting class or
I think
or film
I'm
class?
trying to remember exactly. It might have been more kind of I think it was more of a screenwriting class. I think it was, I just had a very unpretentious professor who was like, this is this kind of movie. This is that kind of movie. Okay. Didn't have any judgment of it, good, bad, whatever. He would, I think he showed like a clip of Armageddon once and he's like, this is an example of a bad movie.
Okay.
But just because of editing, there's that romance scene between them and it's just like cuts like 100 different times.
Yeah.
To just like show a romance. But he was very unpretentious in the way that he would show us just like, this is a representative of this era of studio filmmaking and et cetera.
So were they working on Iron Man 3 when you were interning there?
I interned there from what? I think like 2012 to 2013. So it's probably had already been done, just in the post-production. But I just like walked around a lot. And they had they have a massive theater. I don't know if you've been to Paramount.
No,
but they have like this
I've
really
heard
massive,
it's great.
Really nice theater. Yeah.
Okay, so going in kind of as a casual fan of sort of all the reasons somebody might go to see Iron Man 3. You enjoyed the Marvel movies. You'd had some familiarity with Shane Black, but you weren't going in with like this is my movie. I want this to be my movie. Does that feel fair? Is that accurate?
When you invited me or when you were asking?
When you went to go see the movie. Yeah, what I guess I'm getting to is like, yeah, how did you go from seeing it kind of like, oh, I'm going to go check this movie out. I like the Avengers. I'm familiar with Shane Black. And then of all the films and being like, this is the one I want to talk about. What talk me through how you got to that point where this movie is your favorite in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Shane Black.
It might honestly be my favorite Shane Black, but I'm not sure there. I'm not entirely sure, because I do love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I do love Last Action Hero. I thought Last Action Hero might have been too requested. So, and then I listened to it and it was not requested.
Yeah. That's how Last Action Heroes go. Everybody who's a fan thinks it's going to be a big request, and then we realized there's not that many fans.
I felt like Iron Man 3 is almost too obvious because it made $1 billion. It was this huge hit. It seems to like people are like about Marvel now, and they were also about this kind of twist villain in this. So even though now I see it thematically, it makes complete sense. But like I think I came to it knowing that Shane Black was making it, and it felt almost like you know. I don't know. It felt like a interesting, like, why did they exactly do that? Because they don't, if you see if you've seen all the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and I've seen, except for the two Captain America, the new one this year, and then Thunderbolts. But most of them are like, you kind of do see that the voice of the director is kind of not there. So that's what kind of got me with the Shane Black one. The other great ones are the Guardians films, because you feel that James Gunn has a voice in those films. The third one of those is like the peak of that, too. And it's also interesting, we had Jon Favreau direct the first two of these, and they're fine, they're good. The second one's okay, but
second one's okay. Okay, so
I kind of got lost there.
What do you like? What do you like about this particular one? Sell me on your Iron Man 3.
Well, I think there's one big thing is like, the narration throughout. And if you get to the end credits, at the very end of the credits, you see that there's Mark Ruffalo, and it's the whole movie's a therapy session. Just a whole movie that I find very like interesting as like a framing device, because we don't really think of action heroes as like people that need therapy, but and this whole movie is about that. It's all about like to me, we're both improvisers, we're both comedians. We identify with our greatness or artistic voice, but that's not going to save us at the end of the day. What's going to save us is our relationships with people, the community we build, and everything. And that's what the whole movie to me is about. He has all these creations that can save him. He had this very traumatic event in the Avengers where he almost died. And I think when I was younger, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, there's an action hero. You should get over it, right? Like, that's kind of like the internalized maybe, ableism or whatever you would say about it. But he's clearly haunted by it. He's clearly, as a billionaire, there's so many billionaires today we have that feel like they are probably they believe this lie that they're going to live forever, is maybe part of it. And he's really confronted that he's going to die one day. And so he's just tinkering on all these things that will protect him and Pepper. He says that it's about Pepper, but it's really about him, because he's having all this anxiety. He's having anxiety attacks. It's a movie about that, thinking that your art is going to save you, but it's not at the end of the day. I have, and it's also a movie about someone like not working productively through their mental health issues, which I think is so like, we don't see romance movies about that, really. It's not a full romance movie. We don't see romance movies about relationships in the middle of them. They're either beginning or they're ending. That's most romance movies. And this one is specifically about like, how do you sustain a long-term relationship, which is really cool. Like, and I think he does that a lot with his films. Shane Black does. So
I really like your art won't save you. What do you think? Because some of his, you're right, and your professor of like the buddy comedy, this aspect of it, like relationships are big in Shane Black movies, but this idea of the mental health aspect of it, the relationship in the middle, the romance of that. What do you think? Do you have any? Because I think you can read into a lot of his movies and any movies and sort of have this reflection on it. But there is something about this movie that I think stands out from the rest of his movies. You think of Shane Black as an action filmmaker, an action screenwriter. I think that's kind of his reputation. But you're sort of talking about more of these, I guess I would say like inactive is not the right word, but like these are not action tropes. A therapy session, right. The relationship stuff. So like, what do you think? Why do you think that came up in a Marvel movie, or that's sort of a speculative question, but
no, I mean it's well, like I sent you the Spider-Man 3 video also because it kind of gets at this question of like, what do you do for a third entry? You know, like this is like one of the hardest things. Like most third entries just repeat arc. I love Thor I think Thor Ragnarok's great, but I feel like I've seen the hammer doesn't make the man like twice now, you know? It was kind of like, we're just kind of doing it again, but with new like stakes or whatever. And then, you know, so like the first one is about him kind of, a traumatic thing happens and how he responds. So the second one is kind of about him struggling with fathers and sons and legacies. And then this third one is really struggling with himself of like who he is. If he, you know, the first one ends with him saying, "I am Iron Man." And this one is him being like, I almost wanted at the end, there's like slight flaws here where I wanted him to say like, instead of Iron Man at the end, I am Tony Stark. Yeah. Because this is a movie about him being in like Tony Stark. And that's not, you know, like the whole movie, you know, with the villain twist and everything is about facades too. And all superhero movies are about facades. Anyway, I'm sorry. I think the what was the question? I'm getting off course.
No, you're not off topic. That's kind of what I'm interested in, and it's like he's an action filmmaker, but we have this movie where he's not in the suit very much. It's about who he is when he's not his creations, right? Exactly. And you mentioned I didn't get a chance to watch that video, but it's on Spider-Man 3, right? It's, who did it? I want to make sure I don't.
It's called Like Stories of Old. It's a video essay about how Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man is about accepting he's Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 is about how his identity has led to his chaotic life. And the third one is about how the identity destroys him. You know, like, so in Spider-Man 3, you see him become Venom and everything. And so like it's like the third act is always really hard to crack in that sense, because the fun is in the second act. In the third act, you kind of have to remind people what the meaning of this character is, you know, and that might not always be fun because, you know, it's not as like, you know, some people might, no one does, but like people might say like Return of the Jedi, you know, Luke doesn't really defeat Darth Vader, you know, or Palpatine. He gives up, you know, he's like, you know, like, and he just believes on sheer faith that there's some good in his father left. And that's like, you know, some people don't like Return of the Jedi as much, but that is like he has truly accepted that that death could happen to him. Yeah. And that is kind of like lets him go, frees him. But people, I don't think, you know, a lot of these, the third entry is maybe truly a psychological deep movie in the trilogy. And maybe it's not as fun as like first and second act where you're learning it and you're struggling, you know. It's really hard to do a third one in general. And Shane Black was up for the challenge, though. I think this is the best of the three.
Absolutely. I agree. You said you might reference Robert Moore. Is he the one who made the video?
No, he's referenced in the video a bit. I do think like there's he's always talking. He had this book about uh, uh, grandiosity and like believing in your grandiose self and kind of over identifying with that and how that can destroy you. But like the thing that I was trying to find the quote and I might have it on my iPhone. There is such a thing as humility, however, and we must learn that the true humility consists of two things: knowing your limitations and getting the help you need. That is all that humility is. It has nothing to do with any aesthetic, personal style, or being self-effacing. It is simply knowing your limitations. That is what the grandiose self hates. The grandiose self does not want to know any limits and does not want to ask for help. The 12-step programs are so powerful because they teach a form of humility that says, know your limitations and get the help you need. And I think that, and also that essay goes into a true, what that really means is that a relationship is what really keeps us human and keeps us grounded and keeps us sane. We can depart to all these kind of things going back to my original point of just we go to creating art or whatever to help us, or as some people say today of the men would rather blank than go to therapy.
Oh yeah.
But also just men would rather do that than really like work and engage in the relationship. What is an amazing scene is when he has like he's having a panic attack, a nightmare, and he wakes up and the suit is already there and almost grabs Pepper and he disassembles it. And it's saying it's specifically saying if you don't deal with your trauma productively, it will just manifest and, destroy your relationship. If you don't deal with this in a productive or direct way.
Hey, I like that read.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great scene. That's a good observation. How do you see him dealing with it? What do you think is his arc in this movie?
Yeah. So he's one of the big things. What also is great about this is because there's like a little bit of a tragic element too. When his friend Happy gets almost killed, he like goes out of ego and he like directly threatens the Mandarin, who's the villain, the twist villain, and that is what brings on the attack at his home. So he is his own. Again, it's the second step of like trauma is making him. Is hurting him, like things that he's not dealing with directly. His bravado, his macho-ness or whatever. Shane Black, kind of commenting on this is something that like destroys him. So which I is really a cool little thing there as well. So I think like people want him to be so successful and great, but this is really a movie that's going to take him apart bit by part. Even the villains, like we find out there's a Guy Pearce, great, so good in this movie, so handsome, it's wild. Oh, by the way, the opening, I don't, Blue Dabba Debo Doodah, is that blue song, the Eiffel Blue. It's side note because we can just talk about I could talk about the psychology of this movie forever, but that song, I don't know what that song brings back memories for you, but it reminds me of like now listen to this music ads.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so we have in our culture the Smash Mouth, All Star. That's like taken over. Everyone knows it. Everyone's annoyed by it. But Blue is like such a peculiar song to throw in because it's so 90s. It's so annoying. And every time I watch a movie, I'm like, oh, this song. I remember this song. It was only of that era. No one has really like used it. It's just like a perfect song choice for introducing 1999.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want to be like completely talking about the psychology of this movie, but I do. Yeah, there's that's we could put a pin on like that. We could talk about the kind of funner, like more fun stuff.
Yeah, well, later, I think whatever you're interested in is the fun stuff.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Talk about the arc. So there's a Mandarin arc where like I guess they're trying to recreate regrow limbs and everything through some sort of science, nanotechnology, whatever. I think what's really fascinating about the villains, though, is that they're all heat. They're all heat related. And what do you feel when you're like anxious? You sweat, you know?
Yeah.
And so all these henchmen are always like on fire, and he has anxiety. So these things are like grabbing him and making him sweat more or whatnot. And they also, Shane Black uses the heat as, it's one thing about superheroes I think about all the time, is that we don't want to just see people standing around shooting beams from their hands. We want to see elements in play. Like that's like why people love Spider-Man, is because he swings, or, you know, why people love Human Torch is because he's on fire or whatever.
Yeah.
So like there's this kind of thing of that, like all these villains are coming after him. Also, all of them are soldiers who also have their own trauma, and they're trying to they're going through a also non-productive way of, you know, healing from their trauma by trying to just regain what they lost, you know,
Yeah.
directly, which, yeah, it's, and it's, you can't regain what you lost, you know. That's I think maybe hit like Iron Man's, like Tony's idea is like he'll just make himself more he'll just protect himself more, and these people are trying to regain what they lost, and it's just like all these people with different traumas all like fighting against each other. I have a question for you. Like the kid stuff. What do you find you know, he's with the kid.
Yeah.
I can kind of understand that the kid is like this nag who's like just directly asking him stuff. Even there's the kid earlier with the really bad Christmas Story joke where they're like, they dress him up as Christmas Story kid, and they're like, you look like the kid from Christmas Story.
Yeah.
It's very funny. But like one of three problems with the movie. But he, you know, like, what do you think with the kid? Is it just like a nag who doesn't have is not self-conscious of etiquette or you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There's kids come up in Shane Black movies pretty consistently. It's I have a category for it in the book for each movie of like sassy kids. Like he tends to write children I think fairly well. And you know, Christmas is the other is another trope. And Christmas sort of represents like what the hero doesn't have, like it's family and community and this sort of like beautiful, joyous coming together. And I think kids can be an extension of that a little bit. That they provide an honesty in these movies, and they also provide wisdom that the hero doesn't have, because his heroes are usually losers or egotistical guys, or they're not very heroic. And the kids are a nice way to sort of call that out. I think in this one specifically, I don't think they have like this is not a buddy movie for Shane Black. You get him and Rhodes together at the end, sort of, and they have their banter, but it's not his traditional buddy movie. But you have him relating to this kid, and the kid makes him confront these things. And I think what's interesting about this is that these are comic book movies. They're geared towards kids, but most of them don't have kids in them. This one does, and Thor: Love and Thunder is the other one I think of when I think of like kids in Marvel movies, because you're kind of making a whole movie for a kid. You don't, it's not a kids movie. You're trying to like get the adults who grew up on comics and get younger people. So kids in movies can really be tough. They can really like, I don't really love kids in movies for the most part. It always pulls me out, because I'm like, this is a little human. And if this was any other career, it would be insane to have a kid working, but we need it for the movie. In this one, you know, to me, he provides sort of the wisdom at the end, a part of the epiphany, which is like, you're a mechanic, make something. And my sort of read on this is Shane Black is this screenwriter in Hollywood who has had a career that so closely resembles the setups and payoffs and reversals of his own life, where he is now given the keys to the Marvel Kingdom to make a Iron Man 3 movie. And he spent his career writing movies and to varying degrees of success. And he gets to put himself, his creation is his screenplays. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is very well regarded, but it bombed. It made no money. It was sort of a sleeper. Now people love it. And so when I hear that kind of like you're a mechanic, make something, it's like Shane Black being like, I'm a writer. I write something. And I think that maybe bumps a little bit of your like, oh, your relationships, you're not the things you create. And that's what I like about these conversations.
Right.
And thinking about these movies and stuff is that like, there's not one read of them, right? There are, we bring to it. And so I think the kid is an example of like this kind of like pureness without it being hokey, right? Like,
right.
I love the like, dads leave, don't be a pussy about it. Like, and he's like, the kid is like, gives as good as he gets of like, I'm cold. And so it's like playful and also a reminder that like, to borrow from what you were saying a little bit is like, he makes Tony confront his PTSD. Like Tony is like trying to put New York out of his mind, trying to sort of go on with his life. Like you said, protect himself more, build more, do more, as opposed to coming to this realization that like, you can't build enough things to protect yourself.
Right.
This is an internal problem. You're trying to fix it externally. And Tony Stark is kind of the perfect character for that because he's got, the reactor in his chest. Like his literal and figurative internal problem is this metal that is seeping into his heart.
Right.
And he, at the end of the movie, they sort of just kind of like, yada yada it, and he's like, I fix that. Because it's like, that's not actually the problem. The problem is him realizing that like he is more than the suit. He is more than the things he makes.
Right. Exactly.
But I do think that he is a mechanic. He makes things.
Yeah. I was going to say like, like it does bump it a little bit with him being a mechanic, but I guess maybe it's more just like it's the thing with like Neurosis, I think, where like he made like what 10 suits at the beginning, and they're and he's just keep making them. And I think like as artists, I think that kind of there is like that. I don't know. You can escape. There's a great quote by Alison Bechdel. So you can't there's a great quote by Alison Bechdel where she says, you can't live and write at the same time. And I think about that all the time of like, you're kind of escaping into your ego. You're escaping into your artist self, too much.
Yeah.
And I think like there is a balance. I think maybe that's the point with the kid is like, you're a mechanic, you can make something. And he's now rebalancing to the other side, and I just where I kind of lean more on my read is just like at the very end, he's like, I can just destroy them for a little bit. He destroys all the suits and he's just doing it for Pepper for a little bit, like a vacation from it all, and that's so important. You can't escape into our egos for too long. Egos is what gives us it gives us the drive, it gives us all what we, achieve and everything. But if we escape into them too long, it'll destroy us, So it is that true kind of balance there.
I like
with that. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, you said 3 flaws.
Oh yeah. Well, I kind of bump against the pussy line just because I'm like, oh, pussy, like pussy is a pejorative. I
Sure.
just always get a little, but I get it. I get the reason that we have to be reminded all the time that he is a prick. Like it just was like, oh, okay, I forgot this was like a
Yeah.
line. Back then. I think he does like prima nocta. He's like in Avengers, and one of the Avengers is like, I want to do prima nocta. Once I become king or something. When he's going to pull the hammer. And prima nocta, do you know what it is?
No.
Or it's where the kings had first right to inseminate every bride once they got married. Yeah, so that was like a it's a pivotal point in Braveheart, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not know that. Yes, Tony is not. He's a billionaire. Him and Bruce Wayne in our world would be villains. That in the comic books they get to be the heroes, but in the real world you have to portray these. You don't have to, but like I think part of what I have liked about Tony Stark, and I think Iron Man 3 does it the best, as opposed to somebody like Bruce Wayne, is like Bruce Wayne is lionized. He's seen giving all this money to charity. He does all these great things. His demons are his fear or whatever, and I think Tony Stark's is like, yeah, it starts in 1999. He's an asshole. He leaves that guy up on the roof. He's just trying to have sex. And he's always that kind of asshole. Like, right. He's a workaholic. He doesn't know how to cohabitate. He's mean to little kids. Like, I think that that's what I like about Shane Black movies, is that he doesn't do conventional heroes, and they don't ever end up becoming good people. They just are able to be a little better.
Which is real. Everyone has a little bit of flaws to them. It's tough, of just trying to always present as present your shadows away, I guess, or whatnot. But and then I think John Mulaney has talked about, and there's such like great like flaws too, of like being alcoholic, like it's like a noble, like trying to like recover from alcoholism is like such a noble flaw or whatever. There's like noble flaws, and then there's just flaws that are like you're just a bad person.
I touch on that throughout, where these are not there's a moment in a book, I can't read it from here, but it's basically the book, David Lipsky, I think, wrote this book when he was doing a profile on David Foster Wallace. They turned it into a movie called The End of the Tour.
I love it. I love that movie.
And there's a part in the book, and they have it in the movie, where they're sort of confronting David Foster Wallace about if he had a drug problem. And he's like, my drug was television. And he's like, and there are sexy habits, sexy bad habits, sexy vices, sexy flaws, and unsexy ones.
Right.
And
exactly.
Television is this, like, being addicted to TV is an unsexy one. And so he wrote about heroin because it's a bit more sexy. And Shane Black, I think, goes from Lethal Weapon, which is about a guy who's suicidal, and suicidal is not sexy, but it is like there's like an edge to that kind of flaw, and they show it in a way that is like, this guy's maybe crazy, and with every every story Shane Black tells, his character's flaws become less sexy, less desirable flaws. Like Iron Man 3 is a great example of that. Like PTSD is not a flaw that is like really portrayed on film or done in a way that isn't sort of like, this is an actor showcase. But this is like Tony freaking out, needing to get into his suit, running away from a kid. Like, having a panic attack and pulling over on the side of the road. Like he's so fragile, and it's very unsexy. And like, I don't, the Predator does not work, but I have the things I like about it. And one of them is in the original Predator, everybody in the unit is defined by their muscles and what their signature weapon is. And in the Shane Black, the Predator, they are, the unit is defined by their trauma and what puts them in this sort of camp of people who are dealing with health issues. And it's like, you have somebody with Tourette's, and you have somebody who suicidal, but they don't, he's embarrassed by it, and there's shame around it. And in Lethal Weapon, it's like he wants people to know he's suicidal. Everybody's thinking that he might be making it up to get a paycheck. And in so there's this very cool arc, I think, in these stories where it's like, I enjoy spending time with the characters more as his movies go on, but they are in part because they are more broken, but they are not broken in sleek and sexy ways. Like Shane Black has a way to make the movie super fun and entertaining. And I think Iron Man 3 is great for all of that stuff, but it is like you said, there's like an inverse to it. There's an antithesis of it being the superhero movie that's like, oh, we can't wait for him to get in the suit. Like he never really gets in it and does what you expect him to do in an Iron Man movie. Like the suits are constantly getting torn from him. They're exploding. Pepper is in the suit as long as he is. Like, it's great.
At the end, I think like there's that great reversal where he saves everyone from that plane falling, which I can go on about. I love that scene where like everyone's falling out of the plane, because we don't see one, like a lot of the superhero movies are about like fighting and not saving people, which is what superheroes are. But it's also just a fun sequence. I've never seen anything like that really since or until then. He's saving all these people, and then he flies to gets hit by a semi, and it's revealed that he wasn't in the suit the whole time. He was just remote controlling it,
which I think is I also think in later stage Shane Black you get a little bit of like commentary on the Hollywood system and stuff like that, and I think that this could be totally reading into it, but there's a little bit of like, Robert Downey Jr. is never in the suit. He's acting in a booth.
That's true. That's true.
And so when you get this, like, he was never in the suit, it's like, he's never in the suit. It isn't the suit. If you're coming to these movies, you're coming because it seems like this big blockbuster spectacle, but it's like, this movie works because of Robert Downey Jr. Like the MCU works because of Robert Downey Jr. Okay, so did we cover 2 flaws?
Yeah, the third flaw I think is the Mandarin a little bit, not the twist exactly, but the Chinese, it's like a Chinese character, and it's called the Mandarin. It's not called, vague Middle Eastern. It just seems a little odd. It was just bumped me a little bit of like, we're maybe a little of smacks of cultural appropriation, maybe a little bit, which I understand why people were mad about with this twist, because the Mandarin was like this blood villain and they're not really giving him his right. But I mean, in a way you're kind of like, maybe he wanted to do an original villain. I don't know if you have anything on that, but that's probably won't be.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that, but I do think, like you said, this movie is all about facades. Like, and I think that there's a little commentary on all of that as well. Of like, it is cultural appropriation, and they sort of point it out. They have the Mandarin say like, fortune cookies are an American invention, and it's like, hollow on the outside and false messaging on the inside or whatever. And it's like, that's not unlike the Hollywood system. Like, And you get a version of the Mandarin that is like, yeah, they built a propaganda machine that is based on iconography that has nothing to do with them. Like, I thought it was kind of a clever way to do that. And I think that it's again like having this sort of take that is like, you want this big blockbuster, this huge thing. And what I always appreciate about Shane Black movies is that like he is using the same ingredients. He uses the same ingredients to tell different stories. And like I contrast him with like Steven Spielberg, who uses different ingredients to tell the same story. So it's like every movie is about his mom having an affair with his dad's best friend and his dad not really being there. And it's like, but every Shane Black movie is about something different, but he's always using like, here is a loser, and this guy is gonna, his flaws are gonna push him forward through the course of this movie, and we're gonna get Christmas and it's like, so he could have done this huge Iron Man 3. It's the third movie, do a big blockbuster, have a big villain, do all this stuff. Or you do this version that's like, this is a movie that only Shane Black could do. And it's about a guy running around with post-traumatic stress disorder away from Los Angeles because his house got blown up, having to work with a little kid, going to the, like, being resourceful, dealing with his demons, and the villain is a fucking propaganda machine.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Isn't it wild that we have like all this a twist villain where the villain is like a white Westerner who's like, but they use like Middle Eastern iconography. We had this in 2013 by Disney. It's a wild thing that we'll probably never see again. But
no, I don't think so.
There was a whole quote. I'm trying to find the quote exactly, but the Rebecca Hall character at one point talks about like German scientists, like Nazi scientists, or that they had like some sort of subcontractor. Like she has like history with, like the guy who made the rocket. Yeah. And it's also about this of like, we have, a superhero is a weapons manufacturer, and like, how do you, that's also like the morality, as you're working in the entertainment system. Won't go too far in this, but like, I've had to like struggle with like, am I working for an ethically correct company or not? Or like what kind of unethical things? And, I have plenty of friends who feel like, who feel like their corporation is unethical, and like, how do you negotiate that? We talk all about like consumerism, but we also, at the end of the day, so much of ourselves, we want to work for these big companies. It's hard to be like it's hard to be left, I feel like it's almost hard to be left, it's expensive to be leftist, and especially, or, to stand by your convictions and whatnot. But that's what's really fascinating about Tony is like his whole arc, we're spoiling to Endgame, but, he goes from a very narcissistic person to someone who will die for the fate of the universe. And this is literally midway through. Like, he has 7 movies, and and this is the real kind of hinge point for him to, and it starts with Pepper. It starts with a real meaningful relationship, and that child is kind of like what Peter Parker will let her be, and then his own daughter will be. He's really kind of interacting with that part, which I think is very beautiful.
It is. That's true. Or what's something you like talking about that we haven't covered yet, that you think about with this movie?
There's some really great character actors in here. I don't know if you've the woman, the mother of the person that dies, the mother of the veteran. It's Dale Dickey. She's been around for a long time, but she's always just like, I was just fascinated. I was so happy that he casts like such interesting faces, or just character actors that, you don't see. I think Miguel Ferrer is in here as the vice president.
Yeah.
I met him once at a Starbucks, and we couldn't place him. It was so sad. The person I was working at Starbucks, and the person's like, "I've seen you in movies," and he's like, "Well, like, what have you seen me in?" And he just challenged us, and we were like, we didn't know what to name, but
Yeah.
Blank Check is that famous. He's the villain in Blank Check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's been in a lot of stuff, and
That's
Shane
pretty
Black
cool.
is always taking these great like faces. All
Yeah.
these kind of great character actors.
I think one thing that he does really well, henchman is the other. Like, there's a little category that's sort of like Christmas kids and henchmen. Those are the things that, like, I think you can do any of these movies without them. They're sort of like the seasoning. I kind of like, he uses the same ingredients to tell different stories, but it's always got the same sort of seasoning to it. And I think the way that you talk about the character actors is the way I think he creates fully formed characters in these bit parts. And henchmen is like, his henchmen are the best because they're not one dimensional. And this movie has my favorite line in any Shane Black movie, which is Tony Stark is escaping from being held captive. And he's got a gun, and he's got the boot and a glove on, I think, and he's taking out all these guys. And then there's one guy left, and the guy goes like, honestly, these guys are so weird. I hate working here. And Tony lets him leave. And like, that line is awesome. It's a joke. It's there for the punchline, but it is also like that like dented my brain in a way that's like, oh yeah, these guys clock in, they have a job to do, like they go home at the end of the day, they have people they like working with, people they don't like working with. Like, I love world building in that regard. I don't really care for how the cinematic universe has been like, you got to watch this movie to know about this or whatever.
Exactly.
But I love that Shane Black is like, you're going to know this character, even though we need him for 2 minutes. I think he does that so well.
Yeah, that moment is like you're so in the thrust of everything, and then you're like, "Oh, this is a Shane Black movie." There's the little thing. It's the little details like that. I also wanted to say the ending specifically with so when Pepper fake dies, like goes in the fire. One thing, how he defeats him, I think Pepper ultimately kills the Aldrich Killian. We haven't said his name. Great name as for a villain. But he initially defeats him by throwing his armor onto him. So he's like literally like he's using his like self, his false self, to like destroy something. And then it's like, then this subversion of like, it isn't Tony that does the kill shot. It's Pepper. And even after, she's like, that was so violent, it's just acknowledging this.
One thing I'm self-conscious about in writing about this is like acknowledging what I see to be like authentic growth from a screenwriter who started in the 80s. Late 80s, whose movies are like very violent, very sexist. They have stuff that everybody I talk to from here on, it might be a little different, but every previous film, every guest is a little like, I love this movie, but like, don't associate me with it too much.
Jake, I watched Last Boy Scout last night because I haven't, that was like the one major one I haven't seen. I haven't seen Predator or Play Dirty. I will maybe get back to those, but Last Boy Scout, I remember, was, it's like big in his kind of development. And I was thinking like, oh God, this thing is, this thing is tough to get through a little bit early on because of all the
very tough. And I think I don't think any of his sort of evolution and kind of his self-awareness and reflection ever feels performative, and it absolutely could. Like, his movies have all these flaws. They usually, like, the women are objects. They're usually dead. And by the time you get to Iron Man 3, it's like Pepper saves Tony on more than one occasion.
Right.
The women are constantly the ones who are getting the upper hand on the guys.
Yeah.
And then Pepper saves the day.
Right.
And you can compare that with Avengers Endgame or whatever, where it's like Captain Marvel or whatever gets the glove and she needs to get it to the van or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all the female characters are lined up and they're like, we'll take it from here. Like, that feels very performative to me.
Yeah, it does. It feels like, well, that whole movie's like, here, everyone gets a moment, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone
gets a moment, and all the ladies get a moment together. And what I like about Iron Man 3 and Shane Black movies is, like, it's nothing that you would award him some sort of prize for a feminist, moving the feminist needle, but it is noticeable about a guy who's getting older, who's telling stories and wants to tell stories better. And so you have this moment with Pepper where it's like she is the person who saves the day at the end of the movie. She's in the suit more than Tony is. And it never feels like, oh, God, like rolling your eyes, sort of being like, well, this is the version of this that is, that somebody would go like, oh, this movie's so woke, like, which is like a false criticism anyways. But it's like, I don't think people blink at it. It's like people were upset that the Mandarin wasn't the Mandarin, but nobody was like, oh, why did Pepper have to save the day? It's like, it feels so earned in that moment.
Exactly.
And that's it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, it's just like, like I do think we're in a very political time, so we're looking for political signifiers and everything in order for us to think it's good or bad or whatever. But like, he's a very psychologically deep director or writer, and so it's always going to feel like organic because it's from a psychological place. I will say, like, I was almost like half expecting that, I'm sure a lot of people don't think this movie's like, it's not a real Shane Black movie because it's like, for kids or teens or whatnot. Yeah. But I think that's really, like, to me, I always love those. I love to see I would love to see Tarantino do a kids film just because I just want to know what that challenge would mean to it, like what it would do. When you see Coen's do True Grit, it is like it's dark, it's funny, it's all their like sensibilities all in that movie. And No Country or whatever, these dark movies are also that, but it is like a perfect encapsulation. It tells me like this is a true artist to me personally. I'm always waiting for like these big directors like Paul Thomas Anderson or Tarantino to do their real true like kid like movie for children, just because I want to see that. And I think that Shane Black really rose to this, it can be in any sense. Like I think of improv now, like I'm executing, my voice in these situations. I'm kind of problem solving what would, the thing instead of like, and through that's where I find my voice. That's why I was kind of struggling with the form this last year. It's like, where's my voice? I was like looking for that, but the form is the form is not constricting the voice. The form is giving the voice and allowing you to execute through that. You just have to kind of live in it for so long, I think. Yeah, I really started living it and into it this year. So
that's beautiful, man. I love that.
Yeah. So I think that's like, I mean, there's little things. I think there's funny thing about like the kid being like, War Machine is Iron Patriot is funnier, like cooler than War Machine.
Yeah.
Or like we're just kind of there's American posturing and everything.
Yeah.
I could also go at like, did all these movies they kind of like set us up for sympathy towards AI because Jarvis is so cool, like there's a little bit of that, and also like the magic of AI, like was it all kind of like manufacturing consent for us for this moment?
What
now?
A take. I like that. I like that conspiratorial take. I like one of the sort of like I think best examples of like a setup and a payoff and a reversal in this movie. Is when Jarvis malfunctions, and he's in the garage and he's like, he says something like, I think things are back online, although I have one bug. It appears that when I get to the end of the sentence, I say the wrong cranberry, right? Is a great setup and payoff. It's a great joke. But then later, Tony's using Jarvis to figure out where the Mandarin is. And the Mandarin he's like, he's in Florida. And Tony's like, no, Jarvis has been saying the last word wrong. And he's like, no, it's Florida. So it is this, like, it's not just a joke. Like, there is this cool evolution of Tony's like, well, the Mandarin couldn't be in Florida. That makes no sense. It must be Jarvis. We have evidence of Jarvis malfunctioning earlier. And then it turns out it is Florida. And I mean, I remember seeing that scene in the movie theater, and I was like, I've never been so like, wait, what is going on? In a way that was so engaging. Like, there is stuff that happens in Marvel movies that I'm like, I don't know what the hell is happening. But this was one where I was like, well, I don't understand. Why is Sir Ben Kingsley walking around like a doofus? And there's like women playing ping pong, and I was like, I truly have no idea what's happening. And so I thought that reveal rocked. I thought it was great.
And then that was a great reveal. Ben Kingsley really, like, when he opens the beer, there's like something kind of satisfying about little pop tip. He's also like, he's a weakling, but he is kind of mischievous on the side. I think he shows up in another one of these. I think he's going to be in the show, like some show. There's there's one other thing I was going to say. There's like near the end, there's like really good subversion where they're like running at each other, and you think he's going to jump, and they're going to jump, but he slides under Aldrich, and he so there's stuff like that. I think they say throughout, work smart, not like better. And he keeps getting the, like extremists. There's the woman in the kitchen, and he keeps like making things. Like, I always think action sequences, what's really bad about them today is that a lot of people love action. Like, the sequences I love are kind of like Rube Goldberg things. You see this thing happen and that thing happen, and that causes this. I think Furious 7 does that really well. Fury Road does that very well. But you get tired when there's like nothing to connect. People want to work for a film. But and then Adam Pally, which I got a shout out, a UCB guy and Iron Man. I don't know if there's an earlier UCB person in any of these Marvel cinematic movies, but that's one to think about.
Jane Kim is in one of the Thors, but I'm not sure which one it is. As a doctor.
Adam plays Gary.
That's right, Gary, the super fan. Okay, last thoughts. Anything you want to? Any last things about Iron Man 3?
I revisited it, and I was like, this is an 8, and I revisited like last week, and I was like, this is a 9. So maybe I'm just like slowly going up to masterpiece status here. But there's I don't know. There's just some things that kind of hold me back. But I just quite like it a lot. I think I think there's the MCU kind of gets a bad rap, and probably mostly deserved, or just not. I don't know if I want to say that exactly, but I think there are good films in it, and I think this is definitely one of them, and the Guardians as well. And I hope we someday get back to letting very creative voices get to work in that machine. Or not. We'll just have AI make them. I don't
know. Let things get weird. It's I read a very great piece in the Atlantic about make art weird again, because everything is getting homogenized, and I think it is stemming from people missing the monoculture. So they think if we make everything kind of like the same, then it's like, oh, this feels like we're all experiencing the same thing, and it's like, no.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Can I throw in one more thing? I think
Yeah.
there was a really great scene where it goes to like a Christmas pageant for beauty queen. You're like, what? Okay, this feels like you're excessive here. You're trying to throw in some hot ladies, but then it shows Stanley, and then that's how you get into Gary, and it's like it's just ways to get people's attention in a movie of like just how introducing things quickly. And I also think that's like the thing that I find a lot like troublesome with movies is I feel like I feel like I've seen 3-hour 90-minute movies where it just feels like there's like Shane is using every single second to like get us interested and hooked, and so many movies just feel so long but there's not really much in there, so and the Coens and Soderbergh, they all are very conscious of like, I don't want to waste your time. I know your time is valuable. So that's the other part of it. Maybe we're getting to mini-series brained with like, Netflix and just letting things just kind of go on forever, but it's a disappointing. The economy is so important, and I that's what I really love about Shane Black, and I hope
I agree.
I'm sorry. I know you want to end. I just want to throw that in.
No. I would say I'm glad you threw that in. I think that is the perfect end to this.
Okay, great.
We were very economical with our time.
Yeah.
And our listeners got an hour of a really what I think to be a great conversation on Iron Man 3. I think a overlooked, underrated billion-dollar success, if that's possible.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Will, you got anything you want to plug?
My IG, William.ig on Instagram. I have monthly shows, Moxy. The next one's January 18th at 9 p.m. It'll be a Sunday. There'll be third Sundays for the rest of 2026. And if you have an improv team, invite me to it. Damn it.
Yeah. All right.
I don't want to organize one anymore, but I will show up to your practices and your shows, but
there you go.
I will not organize.
There you go.
Anymore.
Boundaries and a commitment.
Yes.
Where's Moxy?
Moxy is at the Pack Theater.
The Pack Theater. The third Sundays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting in January. Yep.
All right. And I'll say check out Will's Substack. It's very good.
Oh, thank you. I also have a Letterboxd account if you want to really get into the deep.
What's your Letterboxd?
It's /WS_Evans.
All right.
So
expect a follow. Thanks, Will. This was rad.
All right, awesome.
I appreciate you taking the time.
Can't wait for the book, Jake.
Thanks.
When does it come out?
I'm waiting on the final touches of the cover. Okay. My hope is Christmas because it would be fitting. But we'll see. If it's not Christmas, it'll be January 2026. Okay. Thanks for asking. And I'll see you around, buddy.
See you around.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was Iron Man 3 with Will Evans talking about some of the psychology behind a Marvel movie. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please check out my book. You can get it at weimprov.org. And if you're looking for another podcast, I'm going to plug this one again. It's called Happenstance. It's with Jyotsna and Sam, and they talk about movies they haven't seen and predict what happened. I was on for the Maltese Falcon. I had a blast. If you're into pop culture and wild speculation, check out that podcast. In any event, thanks for listening. I hope you're having a happy holidays. We'll be back next time with a couple episodes on The Nice Guys. Ta-ta.